I had a gut feeling my wife was plotting something big, so I quietly safeguarded my assets. 2 weeks later, she filed for divorce, only to call it a prank when her scheme unraveled. What's good, Reddit? This wild ride unfolded over the past few months, and I'm still reeling from her sheer nerve. My ex-wife thought she could outsmart me, but I wasn't as oblivious as she believed. Buckle up, this story's a roller coaster. Let's set the stage. I'm a 38-year-old guy running a scrappy but thriving construction company in Colorado. 12 years ago, I started with nothing but a beat-up Toyota Tacoma and relentless grit. The early days? Brutal. I bid on every small job, worked 16-hour days, and survived on ramen more than I'd care to admit. Construction's not for the faint-hearted. Weather delays, supply chain chaos, contractors vanishing mid-job, clients changing their minds every 5 seconds. It's a grind. Success boils down to 3 things: show up on time, deliver quality, and be straight about timelines and costs. My big break came in year 3. I landed a contract to renovate a stunning Victorian home for a retired judge, a perfectionist who'd already fired 2 contractors for sloppy work. I poured 3 months into that project, working weekends, hunting down period-perfect materials, treating that house like my own masterpiece. When it was done, he was floored and started sending clients my way. That's how you build a construction business. One happy customer at a time. Word of mouth is king in this game. One bad job, and the whole town's whispering about it by Thursday. I stuck with it, earning a rep for quality work, on time, under budget. Now I've got 8 solid crew members, 3 work trucks, and enough gear to tackle any residential or small commercial job. Nothing flashy, but it keeps the lights on and then some. The trick in construction? Half your clients don't know what they want until they see it. The other half think they know better than you how to build their house. You learn to navigate both while keeping the books in the black. My crew's the backbone. Danny, my lead carpenter, can measure with his eyes better than most can with a tape. Jorge, our electrician, keeps everyone laughing with his quick wit. Big Jim, our heavy lifter, solves structural puzzles with engineering and a colorful vocabulary. In this business, your reputation is everything. One bad Yelp review from an entitled homeowner can cost you thousands. So, I'm picky about who I work with, clients and employees alike. Trust, but always verify. I met Sarah, 35, 6 years ago at my buddy Tom's housewarming bash. Tom throws parties like he's campaigning for governor. Half the town, mountains of food, and enough beer to float a yacht. Sarah was there with her nurse friends from the hospital. She stood out, grounded, chuckling at my terrible construction puns, not fishing for details about my car or address. We clicked, started dating, and 2 years later I proposed. Sarah was a registered nurse in the ER, dealing with heart attacks, overdoses, and domestic violence cases. Her job was intense, and I admired her strength. It takes a rare soul to face that kind of chaos daily. For the first few years, we were rock solid. She had her nursing career, I had my business, and we hustled hard during the week, savoring our weekends together. She'd swing by job sites for cool projects, ask about the process, even brought lunch for the crew a few times. The guys liked her, which mattered to me. Money-wise, Sarah was responsible. She had her own savings, chipped in for household expenses based on her income, and never treated me like a cash machine. We split things fairly, like grown-ups in a healthy partnership. She got that construction income can be a roller coaster, feast 1 month, famine the next, depending on weather or project delays. She never complained when I worked weekends or when jobs dragged due to permits or shortages. 3 years ago, we bought a solid 3-bedroom ranch on 2 acres outside town. Nothing fancy, but I inspected every inch of that foundation myself. Sarah picked the interior decor, I set up my workshop in the garage, and we split the mortgage evenly. The house needed work: new electrical, replumbed bathroom, refinished hardwood floors. I handled the heavy lifting. Sarah chose paint colors and ordered fixtures online. We dreamed of kids, maybe expanding the house, building a proper workshop for the business. Normal couple goals. I thought we'd spend the next decade building a life together. Then the red flags crept in, sneaky at first. 8 months ago, Sarah started asking odd questions about the business. Not casual check-ins, but deep dives into finances. Profit margins per job, monthly overhead, business insurance details. I thought she was being supportive, maybe planning for our future, especially since she'd started talking about kids and a bigger house. But then her questions got weirdly specific. Were the business vehicles in my name or the company's? Did I keep personal and business accounts separate? How much cash did we keep in reserves? Just trying to understand our future, she'd say when I raised an eyebrow. I'm not secretive about money. grew up watching my parents fight over finances because of poor communication. So, I opened the books, explained cash flow, walked her through big contracts. She took notes, asked follow-ups, seemed genuinely curious. But her questions sharpened: equipment depreciation, tax strategies, my partnership with our supplier. Stuff most spouses wouldn't care about unless they were joining the business. You thinking of leaving nursing? I asked one night after she grilled me about workers' comp policies. No, I just want to understand what we're building together. Should have been a good sign. It wasn't. Then came her sudden obsession with estate planning. Sarah used to laugh off wills and trusts, saying we were too young for that. But around March, she started sharing articles about asset protection. Did you know the IRS could come after the business if something happens to you? She said over dinner, flashing an article on her phone. Says married couples should put everything in a joint trust to protect each other. I'd already been thinking about liability protection, construction's risky, and a lawsuit could tank us. Yeah, I've been considering that, I told her. Maybe we should talk to an estate planning attorney. Her eyes lit up. Great idea. I already found a lawyer who specializes in family asset protection. I can set up a consultation. Red flag number 3, but I missed it. I was swamped with a massive Victorian renovation project, historical preservation rules, custom materials, months of delays. I figured she was just being proactive. Big mistake trusting her lawyer pick. Richard, her guy, had a slick downtown office, fancy furniture, walls dripping with certificates. Total used car salesman vibe, perfect hair, $1,000 suit, shoes that screamed I'm important. His pitch was all about equal access for married couples. Full transparency, shared ownership, protecting the surviving spouse. He had charts, graphs, a whole PowerPoint on trust structures, taxes, and creditor protection. He pushed a joint revocable trust, business, house, bank accounts, investments, all in one pot, with both of us as equal beneficiaries and trustees. Sarah nodded like she'd rehearsed it. This makes so much sense. I'd feel so secure knowing we're both protected. I asked what happens if we divorced, not because I was planning it, but because I'm not naive. Richard brushed it off. The trust can be dissolved, assets split per state law. But we hope that never happens, he said with a polished grin. Something felt wrong, but I couldn't pinpoint it. The advice seemed solid, and Sarah was so gung-ho about protecting our family that I said I'd think it over. That night, I called Jim, my no-nonsense business attorney. He's been with me since the company's start, blunt as a hammer. Blake, that setup gives Sarah equal control over everything you built before you met her. You sure about that? That hit hard. My business, equipment, reputation, I'd built it all pre-Sarah. Why give her half of something she didn't help create? What would you recommend? I asked. Separate trusts, LLCs, more paperwork, but it keeps your premarital assets clean. Jim laid out ways to protect joint assets while keeping my business separate. I told Sarah I wanted a second opinion. She wasn't thrilled. We already found a lawyer. Richard knows his stuff. Why complicate this? It's not about complicating, I said. I just want to be sure. You don't trust me, she snapped, her voice sharp. You're worried I'm after your precious business. That stung, but her reaction made me dig in. 2 weeks later, I met with Jim and his estate planning specialist, Patricia. They mapped out options to protect assets without handing Sarah half my premarital business. Protecting your wife is noble, Jim said, but there's a difference between protection and giving away what you built. Patricia explained how to structure separate trusts for premarital versus marital assets. Complex but bulletproof. When I told Sarah, she flipped. You went behind my back and got different lawyers after we chose Richard. I told you I wanted a second opinion, I countered. You don't trust me. You're treating me like a gold digger. The fight escalated. She called me controlling, paranoid, said I was treating our marriage like a business deal. She stormed out to her sisters, saying I needed to decide if I trusted my wife. That's when things got bizarre. While Sarah was gone, I organized financial paperwork for our first joint tax filing. Searching her desk for tax docs, I found a folder that froze my blood. Tucked among bills, it held printed Colorado divorce laws, asset division sections, with Sarah's handwritten notes. 50-50 split of marital assets. Business valuation methods. Temporary spousal support. Detailed statutes on valuing businesses in divorce. Calculations on how much of my company's growth might count as marital property. Highlighted articles on hiding assets during divorce. One titled, What to Do When Your Spouse Owns a Business, protecting your financial future.
Worst of all?
A divorce attorney's business card, not Richard's, but a high-asset divorce specialist. Notes on the back: initial consultation $500. Contingency fee 40% of settlement. Specializes in business valuation disputes. I sat there, stunned, for 10 minutes. My wife of 4 years, who'd pushed for a joint trust, was plotting to divorce me and take half of everything. There was more: phone numbers for forensic accountants, business appraisers, even an email exchange about documenting spousal contributions to my business.
The pieces clicked.
Her financial questions, the estate planning push, Richard's trust plan, it was all a setup for a clean divorce grab. My hands shook as I photographed every page, then put the folder back exactly as I found it.
I called Jim. We need to meet.
I found Sarah's divorce research. She's been planning this for months.
Jim wasn't shocked.
Jesus, Blake, she was setting you up. If you'd signed Richard's trust, she'd have a claim to half your business. What do I do? Confront her, or protect your assets first and see what she does. By Friday, Jim filed paperwork for a separate trust for my premarital business assets, equipment, vehicles, accounts, all in a trust one alone controlled. It was airtight, backed by proof I'd built the business before Sarah. I moved most of our joint savings to a separate account, enough to keep me secure, but not enough to tip her off. Legally, I was in the clear. Most of that money came from my business profits. Jim documented everything: asset photos, financial records, what was mine pre-marriage versus ours together. We switched business banking, opened new accounts, updated payments, changed credit cards. If Sarah tried accessing business funds, she'd hit dead ends. Acting normal when Sarah returned from her sister's was torture. She was all apologies, claiming she'd overreacted, saying she just wanted us protected. I found another attorney who might be a compromise, she said.
I played along.
Sounds reasonable. Let's see what they say. But I watched her like a hawk. She was glued to her phone, hiding the screen, taking calls in the garage, claiming they were about her sister or work. She started beating me to the mailbox, saying she was expecting insurance paperwork. One morning, I caught her studying a bank statement through the kitchen window, then slipping it back into the envelope. She was tracking our finances, likely prepping her divorce filing. Small things went missing from my office, papers shifted, files reordered.
She was snooping.
The breaking point hit 2 weeks later. Sarah took a personal day for errands and personal business.
Her tone screamed trouble.
I left for work but parked at a coffee shop with a view of our house. An hour later, Sarah emerged, dressed like she was headed to court, professional outfit, unfamiliar briefcase. I followed her downtown, staying out of sight.
She parked at the courthouse.
My phone lit up with bank alerts. She was trying to check our joint account balances. I waited 2 hours, wondering if she was filing papers or meeting her lawyer. When she walked out, manila envelope in hand, she looked smug, like she'd nailed a big win. That afternoon, a process server called. Blake, I have divorce papers filed by Sarah Henderson versus you. Can I serve you? I met Janet, the server, at her strip mall office. The papers hit like a sledgehammer. Sarah claimed irreconcilable differences, but the real blow was her asset demands: half the house, business, equipment, investments, even my pre-marriage truck. She argued she'd contributed significantly to the business through emotional support and unpaid labor.
Unpaid labor?
She'd brought lunch to the crew 3 times in 4 years. She also claimed she'd sacrificed career opportunities to support me, news to me, since she'd gotten 2 promotions during our marriage.
I called Jim.
She filed this morning. Wants half of everything.
Good thing we moved fast, he said.
Her lawyer's in for a surprise. That evening, Sarah was cooking dinner, acting like nothing happened.
Hey honey, how was your day?
Made your favorite chicken.
I stared.
Interesting day.
Got some divorce papers.
Her mask slipped for a split second, panic, maybe guilt, before she recovered.
Blake, I can explain.
When were you going to tell me? After you cleaned out the accounts. She claimed she'd planned to tell me that night, saying she needed to protect herself. Protect yourself from what? Your husband who's never given you a reason to doubt him. She started crying, but it felt staged. I didn't want to hurt you. I just felt we weren't right for each other. So, instead of talking, you researched how to take half my assets?
I pulled out her folder.
Her face went pale. You've been planning this for months. The estate planning, the business questions, all a setup. She stammered, claiming it was about understanding our future.
What changed, Sarah?
Why file now before I signed the trust?
She didn't answer, just cried harder. Then Jim called.
Sarah's attorney wants an emergency hearing tomorrow for spousal support and to freeze business assets. They're claiming you hid assets. I looked at Sarah, still crying. Yeah, that tracks. The hearing was a spectacle. Sarah's attorney, Patricia, not the estate planner, came out swinging, accusing me of hiding assets and manipulating records to cheat Sarah. She waved bank records, claiming I'd moved money and transferred business assets behind Sarah's back. Your Honor, Mr. Henderson has engaged in financial manipulation to deprive my client of her rightful share. The irony was rich. She was accusing me of her own playbook.
Jim stood up.
Your Honor, Mrs. Henderson has been planning this divorce for months, researching asset division and consulting divorce attorneys while pushing Mr. Henderson to restructure assets in her favor. He showed the judge Sarah's folder photos, attorney meeting records, and the timeline of her financial questions versus her filing. Mr. Henderson didn't hide assets. He protected premarital property from a calculated attempt to claim his business. The judge reviewed everything, asked questions and ruled, no asset freeze. Mr. Henderson has a right to protect premarital property, and there's evidence Mrs. Henderson planned this divorce well before filing. Both parties maintain current asset levels until we determine marital versus separate property. Sarah's lawyer looked stunned. They'd expected to walk away with half my business. After the hearing, Patricia told Jim, your client should consider a generous settlement. Mrs. Henderson has been emotionally damaged.
Jim laughed.
Emotional damages don't create ownership in premarital businesses. That evening, Sarah called, begging to talk.
We met at a coffee shop.
She looked exhausted, but I wasn't buying the act.
I want to apologize.
This got way more complicated than I intended.
What did you intend, Sarah?
To divorce me and take half my assets. I was scared about our future, reading about what happens to wives when marriages fail. So, you researched your options for months while pushing me to sign a trust that'd benefit you. She went quiet, then dropped a bombshell. What if we called off the divorce? Said it was a mistake.
I stared.
You want to cancel a divorce after filing papers and claiming half my business?
We're still married.
We could dismiss the case, go to counseling.
It hit me, she wasn't sorry.
She was panicking because her plan failed. She'd hoped to trick me into joint ownership or win half in court. When neither worked, she wanted a reset.
You're right, Sarah.
This was a huge misunderstanding.
Her face brightened. Really?
We can work this out. Absolutely. Just one question. Are you staying married to work on us, or to take another shot at my business? She stammered. I just want us to be happy. Then you'll be thrilled to know I found happiness in a wife-free life where I don't worry about someone plotting to ruin me.
Her face collapsed.
Blake, I made a mistake. You made a calculated plan over months. That's not a mistake. I stood to leave, then turned back.
Oh, and Sarah?
My attorney says withdrawing the divorce petition could make it look frivolous, which might hurt your settlement. Think that through. 2 weeks later, her lawyer offered a new deal. Sarah wanted the house and half our joint savings, dropping business claims. Jim countered, she gets what she provably contributed to marital assets, plus moving expenses. They haggled, first a third of the savings and her car, then just the car and apartment deposit money. Each offer shrank as their leverage crumbled.
They took our deal.
The final settlement was clean. Sarah got half our marital savings, about $45,000, her belongings, her car, and zero claim to my business or premarital assets. I kept the house, since I'd paid the down payment pre-marriage. The business, equipment, and my peace of mind stayed mine. The day the divorce finalized, Sarah called. I hope you know this isn't what I wanted. It's exactly what you wanted, Sarah. You just didn't expect me to be ready. You make me sound like a gold digger. Your actions spoke for you. What if it was a test to see if you loved me?
I laughed.
A test involving legal papers and claiming half my business? That's an expensive test. Or a prank to see how you'd react.
A prank?
Nobody's laughing, Sarah. She tried a few more times. Her sister called, saying I was tossing away a good woman over money. Her mom texted about forgiveness. I ran into Sarah at the grocery store, where she acted like we were old pals.
But I was done.
You don't get to plan someone's financial ruin, file papers to make it happen, then call it a misunderstanding when you're caught. Word got around. Sarah's still single, per mutual friends. Turns out, trying to divorce your husband for his business doesn't make you a hot catch. Jim jokes I should send her a yearly Christmas card thanking her for the asset protection lesson. I won't, but I'm grateful for the education. Finding her divorce research was a gut punch, but it taught me to trust my instincts. Now, I'm the only one planning my financial future.